Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Once again, this is Anthony Wayne, and I'd like to thank you for coming back to this channel called Be Good to Yourself. Now, before we do that, please, I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed and hit that notification button. Those of you who like to share, comment, I appreciate it. If it's only one person, 3 people, 20 people, 70 people, 10,000 people, I'd like to thank you for your time and your attention. Now, with that being said, let's get started. Now, today's topic, of course, we did 3 segments dealing with the improvement of self. And that's what we're going to continue to do, is to give us pointers and tips, words of wisdom, motivation to improve the quality of your life. And that starts by improving yourself. That's the only way we can be good to ourselves. Now, on the last segment, we dealt with self-examination. What is examination? How do you examine yourself? Self-analysis. How do you take the components of what's going wrong with you and look at them and analyze them? And then self-correction. How to correct some things. Like we said before, some things you just have to stop. Just stop doing. You don't need no pills. You don't need no books. You don't need no big giant meetings. You don't need 100 prayers. Just stop doing what you're doing. Now today, what we're going to deal with is we're going to deal with what we all have, and that is a best friend. So what is a best friend? Now, of course, we all have friends. I mean, you have your friends that you go to school with, you have your friends that you work with, you have your friends that you can depend on, you have your friends that you go to the movies with, that you go to a club with, that you go to the bars with, that you go do the things that you like to do. Because a friend is someone that you like because they have the same thinking, they on the same frequency or the same vibration. You know, like back in the day, they would say, oh, that's my buddy. Why is it your buddy? Because that we vibe together. I mean, that's a term to call it vibration. Why? Because you and your friend, you did a lot of things together, you dislike a lot of things together, so you like that person. Now, how many of us listens to our friends? You know, if a friend comes to you and you go to your friend and say, hey girl, I like that guy. He's so nice looking. He's funny. He makes me smile. He makes me laugh. I think I'm going to go get with him. And then your other friend says, girl, don't get with him. That's what he does to everybody. Now, you may listen to that friend. Sometimes you don't listen to that friend and get yourself in trouble and find yourself heartbroken. You know, or you got a friend that says, hey man, I heard you was about to take your car to them people. Man, they messed up my engine, man. Don't take your car over there. And you don't take your car there. And you come back to your friend and say, man, thanks, man. You saved me a whole bunch of money, man, because that guy was a shyster, man. And so I like to thank you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we have. We have friends that can help us to get into places, get away from things that otherwise we may not have been able to get away with, or get into by ourselves. Now, the friend that I'm talking about, though, is not that friend that you went to school with, not the friend that you went to the mall with, not the friend that you make money with, not the friend that you can cry on the shoulder, or a friend that you can get something from. But the best friend that you ever have is that friend within. And that friend is your best friend that you were born with. And that friend can get you out of trouble, can lead you to good things, or lead you away from bad things if we would only listen to that friend. So let's talk about that friend for just a moment. Your best friend. Your best friend is not that friend that loans you money to help you pay a bill. Your best friend is not that friend that picks you up from work because your car broke down in the middle of the night, that came and picked you up on the highway. That's a friend, all right. Your best friend is not the friend that helped you get the job. That's a good friend, all right. But the best friend that we have is that friend that is within, sitting inside of us. Before you meet anyone else, before you get any advice from anyone else, you have a best friend that talks to you constantly in the middle of the night, while you're laying in your bed, while you're taking a shower, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're cooking dinner, even while you're sitting there watching television or entertaining yourself. There's that best friend that's constantly talking to you. Some of us call that voice of that friend the self-accusing spirit. Some of us call it our higher selves. Some of us call it our consciousness. But nevertheless, there is a best friend that is always inside of you, warning you, talking to you, telling you which way to go, which way not to go. And that voice is the best friend that you can ever have. It comes out small, and it may be telling you in your own voice, don't go there, because if you go there, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. 1, 2, 3 is going to happen. But if you do this, A, B, and C is going to happen, and you're going to feel better about yourself. Now, sometimes we listen to that friend. sometimes we don't. You know, like the friends that we have in our lives. Sometimes we say, I'm going to do it anyway, because, you know, he don't know what he's talking about. And then all of a sudden, a month later, 2 months later, you find yourself depressed. You find yourself heartbroken. You find yourself in sorrow because you didn't listen to that friend that came and told you, hey, I told you don't do it. I told you. You ever had a friend that did that? Man, I told you. Man, you didn't listen to me. Or have you ever done that to someone? I kept trying to tell them. They wouldn't listen. They did it anyway. Now he got 3 years in prison. So what about the friend in yourself? How many of us listens to that friend? Let me ask you a question. Would you kill your friend if your friend knocked on your door and said, your house is on fire, man. You need to come on out, get everything that you need. Your house is catching on fire. Would you say, man, shut up, and just slam the door in his face? No, you wouldn't. You go check it out. If your friend came up to you and said, hey, if you go down that road, there's a dead end and it's going to lead to a cliff. Don't go that way. Would you say, man, forget that, dude. I'm going this way anyway. You're going to be like, huh? You sure? All right, man, cool. Thanks a lot. You know, so would you willingly and knowingly kill your best friend? You and your friend going to the mall, would you push him in front of a bus? No. Why not? Number one, it'd be murder. But number two, that's your friend. That's your buddy. You love that person. Why would you kill your best friend? Why would you get in the car with your best friend and drive into a tree to kill your best friend on purpose? You wouldn't do that because that's your best friend. Well, guess what? Each time that we don't listen to the voice within that friend that we have within us, that friend that we call the self-accusing spirit or the higher self or the consciousness, then that's what is exactly what we're doing. We're killing our friends. Every time our friend says, hey, just get you a job, save up your money, and you'll be able to go buy the things that you see other people have. Yourself says, nah, I ain't got time for that. They live right here. They leave at so-and-so. I know what time they get home. I know what time they leave. They leave their back window, don't have a latch on it. All I gotta do is go in there real quick, grab it, and I'm good. But your best friend says, if you do that and get caught, guess what? You're going to jail. You know, so sometimes we listen to that voice, sometimes we don't. But each time that we don't listen to our own advice, our own consciousness, our own higher self, or that self-accusing spirit, then we find ourselves getting ourselves in trouble. And that voice will get quieter and quieter and quieter till all of a sudden you ain't trying to listen to no advice. You ever had a friend that tried to tell you something and you just didn't want to listen? Well, that's what we do when we quiet the voice inside ourselves. So long before we get in trouble, long before we about to do something wrong, long before we get into depression, long before we become obese, long before we become saddened, long before we get sick, that voice within us saying, man, stop eating so damn much. Why are you eating all the time? You just ate 10 minutes ago. Don't eat before you go to bed. Man, you need to get up and lose some weight. Look at yourself in the mirror. You need to lose some weight. Here, if you work out at least once every other day, you know, eat less, you know, don't eat before you go to bed, you'll find yourself better. But you say, no, I got this. And next thing you know, at the end of the month, at the end of the week, at the end of the year, you're weighing 50 pounds more than you wanted to. You got all this bad skin and all these illnesses and all these disorders because you didn't listen to your best friend. Before you got sick, that best friend said, here's how you don't get sick. So what we want to do is to improve ourselves is to first start listening to our own advice. We can get good advice from that small friend. Sometimes it comes in your voice, sometimes it comes into a voice of someone, a celebrity, or maybe sometimes it comes into a voice of someone that you would respect, or someone that has authority over you. But nevertheless, the truth always comes to you first. Before an outside friend comes, the inner friend comes to you and warns you, admonishes you, tells you what to do or what not to do. So if we want to improve ourselves and improve the quality of our lives and stay out of trouble, then start listening to the voice within, that voice of self. That is your best friend. That is the best friend that you'll ever have from the day that you were born and realize that you're in the world to the day that you pass from this earth and go to another place, if you think that, or you transition. That friend is the best friend, and if we keep listening to that friend's voice will get louder and louder and louder till it's almost like someone walked in the room and said, hey, don't do that. And then you listen to your friend. But once again, if If you don't listen to your friend, you're gonna find yourself finding out why you're so depressed, why you're down in life, why you can't make ends meet. You know, because you made a mistake along the way, and the greatest mistake that we ever make is not listening to ourselves. So once again, I'd like to thank you for your time, thank you for your patience, thank you for your attention. Once again, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, like it, share it, comment on here. You know, hey, I really appreciate your time and you coming here. And once again, be good to yourself. Peace.